All of the events in Cyberpunk are a result of your own ambition, a cascading effect from your decision to raid Konpeki Plaza and steal a prototype piece of technology, which sent you down a desperate path to find a cure. One thing you may not notice is that the heist has indirectly affected many people in a mostly positive way. Your search for a cure has changed the lives of many people. So that begs the question, what if you didn't steal the relic? What if the relic was destroyed, or you couldn't find it, or whatever other reason there may be for why you didn't escape Konpeki Plaza with Johnny Silverhand's construct inside your head? Well, today we are going to quickly do a deep dive into what would happen if you didn't escape Konpeki Plaza with the relic. Based on my 25 plus playthroughs of the game, I actually stopped counting after 21, so that number is just an estimate. If you like this video, then make sure you click the glowing like button down below. And if you want to see more what if scenarios based on my expertise of the game, then leave those scenarios down in the comments as well, because making this video was really fun, and I actually thought of it after watching a Baldur's Gate 3 video, believe it or not. So shout out to that guy. I don't know his name. So, what if we never managed to make it out of Konpeki Plaza with the relic intact? First things first, the ending of the heist is still the same. Yorinobu strangles Saburo, you and Jackie flee the hotel, and in the process, Jackie's worthless face succumbs to his wounds and dies in the car. When reporting back to Dex, he still tells you to look at the flowers. But without the relic to temporarily reboot your system, you die in the motel room and your body is left to rot in the landfill. Everything plays out exactly as it did originally. The only difference is that this time, you stay dead. But what happens to everyone else you come across after the heist? What happens to them if you aren't there to change their fate? Some of the changes are little and insignificant, while others are huge differences. Takamura still kills Dex in the landfill after showing him your dead body, then he would probably take your body to get Makoshi'd just like Jackie. Originally, Yorinobu came up with the bad excuse of his father's death, saying that he was poisoned, and then puts the hotel on lockdown to buy himself some time. But as soon as the shooting starts, he realizes that there were actually people in the hotel which weren't supposed to be there. So he realizes that these thieves were witnesses to this murder. One of the thieves died, but the second one just up and disappeared. So he sends Takamura to look for you and eventually finds Dex, who takes him to your body, but it turns out you were alive. So Yorinobu sends his Arasaka exterminators out to kill both you and Takamura to finally wrap up those loose ends and to make sure the truth about his father's murder never gets out. But in this alternate reality, with you now staying dead, all of Yorinobu's loose ends are officially tied up, and you and Jackie are made out to be the killers. End of story. In the world of Cyberpunk, now that you are dead, Evelyn Parker still gets her brain fried by the voodoo boys, but Judy will have to look for Evelyn on her own, and would eventually head over to Jig Street like she normally would, and manage to get the info out of Fingers. But that's where her investigation ends. Let's be real. Judy is a little dumb. Without your deduction skills, Judy will never be able to triangulate Evelyn's location, at least not on her own. Out of desperation, Judy will look to fixers for help, and using their resources will eventually find Evelyn, or at least her dead body. And if she does manage to find Evelyn alive, the result will still be the exact same. Evelyn will end up committing the 13th reason, and Judy will scour her chip for information so she will know exactly what happened. Judy will still want to make a change at Clouds, as she prefers to go after the symptom rather than the disease itself, and in doing so, she will immediately contact Maiko, throw a tantrum in her office as you aren't there to mediate, and Maiko will still set a trap for Woodman in the maintenance room where Judy will corner him and kill him. But it's entirely possible that she just skips killing Woodman. After all, she is more talk than she is action. Either way, it doesn't really matter that much. Judy will then gather Maiko and the others and continue her half-baked plan to liberate Clouds, and without you by Maiko's side to object to her own plan, Maiko successfully takes over Clouds, leaving Judy to feel like the total idiot that she is. After the failed plan to liberate Clouds, Judy decides to pack up her stuff and leave Night City once and for all to live with her grandparents in Oregon, and get married with the first lesbian that crosses her path only 2 days after meeting her. So not much changes in Judy's life without you there, as 99% of her problems are internal and there's not much you can do to change it to begin with. But it's essentially the same outcome as a male V playthrough. The only difference is Judy hasn't moved on from Evelyn's death, at least not yet. But the rest of the changes from here start to get a lot bigger and a lot worse. When you first meet Panam, she's currently messing with a stolen car and planning to get her car and merch back. Realizing that she will have to do this completely alone, she sets up a trap and picks off each of the Raffins one by one, and then gets her car back. Now Pan Am is a pretty capable lass, so it's not like she needed your help to begin with, but she doesn't go after Nash as she knows she can't take that hidey hole all on her own. As a result of the King Tao AV not being blasted out of the sky, the Aldecaldos don't chase after it, and Scorpion does not die. Saul will get kidnapped by the Raffins as usual, but without someone to help mount a rescue, Saul is left to the Raffins to be tortured and eventually killed. The Raffins still inevitably find the Aldecaldo camp, and without Pan Am and the others to steal the Militech hover tank, they will now successfully wipe out all of the Aldecaldos currently in camp. And without you to help Pan Am fix her issues with the clan, she's back to being a simple Night City merc that is struggling to get by, as seen in the credits if you were to skip her questline completely. Pan Am's true final destination is really unknown, probably just a typical struggling merc that ends up snuffing it after a while. Or perhaps she leaves Night City all on her own and begins a brand new life. But regardless of what she does, all of her friends are dead and she probably ends up very depressed. Carrie Uridine, on the other hand, is a fairly simple case. As Johnny tells you, he is depressed and is thinking of pulling the old Hannah Baker, and you show up to Carrie's house just in time to prevent him from shooting himself in the shower, which according to my comments is something that seemed to have gone over a lot of people's heads. But without you or Johnny to help Carrie find a new passion for life and his music, Carrie ends up following through with his initial plan and commits the 13th reason in the shower. With Carrie being a pile of meat laying on his shower floor, Kovacek still follows through with his plan to make a deal with the Cracks girls to perform Carrie's music. But in this alternate reality, the deal is more of a memorial money grab rather than a simple collaboration, which probably makes it worse. But because of this, the Cracks girls are never introduced to you, and Blue Moon will never contact you to deal with her stalker. And as a result, Blue Moon's stalker eventually finds her and carves up her face to the point where she is unrecognizable and left to be found by Red Menace. The exact same circumstances as if you catch the wrong person during her side quest rather than catching her actual stalker. So in this reality, both Blue Moon and Carrie Uridine are dead. When it comes to River Ward, his quests are a bit more enigmatic. The Paralyses will end up finding a different person to help with their investigation, whether it's Judy, who is desperate for the money after spending it all on finding Evelyn, or just some random no-name merc that they found via Fixer. But regardless, the case is inconclusive and the Paralyses know nothing. And River Ward is probably never contacted regarding the death of the Night City mayor. River's nephew, however, is still taken by the serial killer, and without you to help River track down the killer's barn, the barn never gets found in time to save the kids, and everyone inside the barn, including River's nephew, ends up dying. And as a result, River never fixes things with his sister that looks nothing like him, and Joss is left without an adult child. And River will end up doing what he was doing during the new ending added in Phantom Liberty. So not much really changes there, other than his nephew now being dead. But when it comes to the Paralyses, they never find out about the brainwashing conspiracy either. And whoever is behind the brainwashing ends up installing a new mayor, and will continue their plans that they have for the future of Night City that we won't know anything about until the sequel. That pretty much sums up all of the changes with the major characters within the base game of Cyberpunk 2077. You'd think that Phantom Liberty would be massively different if you were dead, but in reality, nothing really changes. Songbird never reaches out to manipulate someone as desperate as her for a cure, since there is no one else out there, and eventually dies due to her condition. Alex continues living the fantasy of a racist bar owner, I'm kidding, and Solomon Reed continues to work the door at Boomer Dino's sketchy nightclub, and Kurt Hansen remains in charge of Dogtown. So everything is pretty much the exact same as if you just didn't play the DLC at all. The chances of her following through, either killing President Myers in exchange for the cure, is unlikely as Songbird doesn't actually want to kill her, and probably couldn't even if she wanted to. Even if she followed through with her plan to retrieve the neural matrix, she wouldn't be able to run away with it without your help, and would still end up perishing at the hands of her condition. However, the events that happened during the new ending of Phantom Liberty still occur for the most part. Arasaka still pulls out of Night City as you never shot your way through the front gates, allowing Militech to take over as the new top dog of Night City. Misty still moves back to Poland, and Vic still sells out to Zetatech. Rogue is still living the life as a corporate plant in the afterlife, like a bigger fraud than Dex, but Hanako Arasaka still tries to take Arasaka from Yorinobu and ends up dead. So at the end of it all, not much really changes on the grander scale. But when it comes to all the personal connections you've made throughout the story, the lives of all of those around you are changed for the worse. And when it comes to people like Cracks, Carrie, Henry and the Aldecaldos, you not being alive really screwed them over big time. But that is pretty much what I believe to happen if you never made it out of Konpeki Plaza with the Relic, based on my extensive knowledge and experience with Cyberpunk 2077. If you think I might have been a little off with some of the changes, feel free to let me know what you think. I may not have a girlfriend and spend all of my time playing games like Cyberpunk, but I am not perfect. So I would like to know what you think. And if you like this content, then make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next video.